Hey, this is Les from the TV Dudes. This year, as part of our coverage of ATX Television Festival's Season 8, I was lucky enough to sit down with the creators of Archer, as well as Archer himself, Jon Benjamin. In this interview, you'll hear executive producer Matt Thompson, actor Jon Benjamin, producer and art director Chad Hurd, and lead storyboard artist Taylor Parrish. I hope you enjoy.
We just had our Archer panel, and we were talking about this is Taylor's first experience talking in front of people. How did that go for you?
It's not my first.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I understand. Yeah, in a big being in the studio. Yeah, I did a panel once for my senior film in college at the Cleveland Film Festival.
So that one dry rehearsal, and then tonight
yes.
or today.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was awesome. I felt very comfortable, and it was great listening to these two talk. And stuff.
We have fun together.
Yeah.
Matt.
My job, so years ago, we always would have a moderator, and then it was just like, why are we having a moderator? Because when you do a show for 10 years, you kind of know everybody intimately and know how to throw to them better. Mm-hmm. And my job usually as a moderator, I try my best just to find ways that I can throw Jon a softball.
Yes, yeah, you got a couple of good ones today.
You throw Jon a softball, and then you sit back and try to be quiet.
It's usually a forum to make fun of me. Yeah.
That I've actually talked, Jon and I. So we'll frequently have not frequently. There'll be a cast-only group text message about something, and those text messages take one of two forms. At some point, somebody says like, "Oh, I can't wait to see everybody except Jon." I can't wait, but it's all in love. But it's like the last one.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. But like on these cast text messages, it's like they always jerk on Jon.
Yeah.
And then I actually, so with the last one, this was just a couple of months ago.
Yeah, you finally
I immediately
me.
Texted Jon singularly. I was like, I'm sorry.
All right, you didn't defend me.
I didn't. I started the dick on Jon joke.
Yeah.
And then I felt bad.
Yeah.
I just see Chris Parnell getting thrown under the bus.
He
is the nicest guy
because Chris is so nice.
Because
he's so nice, it's like you say you give Chris like you're evil because he's so sweet.
Exactly, which I might be true.
He might secretly be like an axe murderer. Yes. Like if you were an axe murderer, people would be like, "Well, okay.
Yeah, I get it."
But
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's always the good twist when the super nice guy's the axe murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like finding out George Takei is just
right,
some kind of monster.
Yeah. Right.
He did an Archer for us back in the day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I bet.
Got to interview him on Thursday and was just
really?
like professionally nice. He's he's the sweetest person.
Yeah. He's really sweet. And he's got one of those voices that's actually great for cartoons. But the one thing about Jon's voice is like you hear it and you know it. Like it's just like a yeah. You just it's just a it's
George Takei.
George Takei has one of those as well. Where you hear
he has like
and he got it. His dad.
Yeah. It's
he has like a formal drama school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
classically trained.
Yeah.
It's that voice to me, and I didn't talk to him about this. Sounds like a long time ago they trained people who had stuttering problems to listen to radio announcers and talk in a deeper, slower voice.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times when I find somebody with a voice like that, I find out that in childhood they were stuttering.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
Now I'm just imagining the Howard Cosell twins from Better Off Dead.
Yes.
So, Matt, Chad, and Taylor, can y'all talk a bit about how your jobs interlink and what the workflow is like on Archer?
I think Chad is at the center of everything on Archer, and I think he's probably best to answer that question. Chad is the hub of all.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks.
You are. Chad control, and then like literally the whole entire production kind of comes out from Chad.
We get a script drops from Adam Reed, and it's up to me and my associate Justin to kind of make a game plan for the episode to kind of figure out what this blueprint's going to look like. So when it drops, I'll get with Taylor. We'll kind of go over storyboards, figure out how we're going to plan this thing out. Justin and I will work on designs. We make a plan, talk to our leads, and then hope that it all comes back the way that we planned. Most of the time, we're very surprised. It works. We make a great episode. Sometimes it gets a little hairy, but it's been great. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of moving pieces to it. The thing I like the most is that we do it all in the same building. Most cartoons are storyboarded and then kind of shipped overseas and come back, and then you do some
We're
retakes.
100%, 1,000% made in America.
Yes.
And I mean, I know I'm not trying to shake a jingoistic thing for America, but it's very rare that soup to nuts Americans, people living in America.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's something really
all over the
special.
country.
So when John does some improv and we want to kind of highlight that, I can just walk over to someone's desk and say, hey, I've been talking with Casey, our executive producer. We're going to try to make this line work, and we're going to put it in there, and we can make those changes on the fly. And I think it makes our production really unique and really special.
It's a little bit like working without a net, because Chad's job is twofold, which is one, tell the most dynamic, beautiful-looking story that you can have, but also create no waste.
Yes.
And so when the storyboard team goes down a path that is not what ends up being the ultimate vision, Chad's job is to stop that path and reconfigure that path so that we don't have a team of people that are doing something that is wasted. I frequently get asked the question like, hey, let me see your outtakes. And like, there are none.
Right.
Because you have to stop the bleeding as quick as you can as a production to make sure that you continue to make money. And so do you frequently have to reboard something?
Yeah, if the scene's not working, we usually go through a series of reviews. The first one is like really rough thumbnails, somewhat scratchy, like you can tell who they are. And then we give it to Chad and Justin, and then they're like, actually, this is what more we're thinking. Would you actually like to have all the characters go right to left instead of left to right, to make the story and the whole episode flow well and stuff. And then we just keep going, and sometimes as story lead, I'll have to go in and fix stuff, and make sure that we have a perfect product to give out to the rest of the departments. And then you just redraw it and then just make it look really nice. And
if the blueprint is wrong, the foundation won't hold.
Right, yeah. And then usually we try to catch things early, so if, like, we forget, like, a character was in the shot. It has happened at one point. And we're like, wait, where's Krieger? Because he doesn't have any lines, and yet he's in that scene, So,
it's a challenge when you have a show that you really want to enforce the ensemble nature. And so what we do is, like, you'll see, like, I can't see another lineup. I can't see another 6 people in a line talking to each other. So you look for the depth and the way to cut around what is basically, in essence, 6 people talking.
Yeah, we try to, when there's, like, 6 people or 12 people in a room, that's really hard to try to figure out how to board. So we try to have them in the shape we like to call the horseshoe shape, so that way they're not all in a straight line stacked up on top of each other. And it'll give a little more depth of where characters are.
But always featuring Archer at the front and center.
That's
in a spotlight.
Yeah, as it should be.
We try to keep that light just like a soft focus.
Yeah.
The show's not called Pam.
No, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
It's called
Although, could be.
Yeah.
John loves to
I'd
tell
watch the
people,
show.
I am the
Could be
titular
someday.
character.
There was a talk of a Pam spin-off, right?
There was talk.
Yeah.
There may be even work on it, but there was talk.
As far as recording, John, how much visual reference do you have as far as what you're going into? Is that do you get to see anything? Do you just get the script?
No. I mean, at this point, because of the nature of the show, usually like Matt or Adam, probably just now Matt and Casey will sort of tell me what direction the show's going in for the season. And some of the changes now since season 5, you kind of know what you just heads up to know what we're doing. But other than that, it's
a lot of
pretty
times
simple.
John will ask, say, like, okay, wait a minute, how big is that rock monster? What is that? And we will try sometimes to paint a mental picture for him, but
it's mostly not necessary.
You're just bickering with old roommates.
Exactly. So
for the most,
the nature of the comedy, or at least the character interaction, stays pretty much the same. And they've never asked me to sort of, as we were talking in the panel about how, I assumed they had to give like Chris a heads up that he was doing a German accent and so forth.
Yeah.
And I think at one point they, for the Noir season, which was what?
Dreamland.
Yes. I think there was a very brief conversation about should I do,
should you do this once?
Yeah.
John's got one voice. He does it every once in a while as Archer. He breaks into the old
old-timey, right.
It always cracks me up when he breaks into the old-timey guy.
So I think that was probably the only question, should I be doing that? But then that was an immediate no.
What's been your biggest shock or surprise between what you were mentally picturing on a scene and what finally hit the show, or do you watch the show at all?
Never seen it. No, I think probably. Well, the Bob's Burgers crossover scene was probably the first time.
So violent too. That was built around what movie was that? The Hugo Mortensen
History of Violence.
History of Violence. That scene was built around the History of Violence scene, and to see
Yeah,
how
like
violent Bob's restaurant, just with the spatula.
It was pretty gross.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun too.
Yeah, and nut rubber, one of my favorite Archer lines ever. Yeah, not even nut rubber.
You're not rubber.
I'd read that the close-up animation work is still done in Illustrator.
Yeah.
But as far as technology changing, software changing, has your workflow been affected over the years of the series?
Why don't you talk about harmony and the fluidity of
Yeah, that's probably the biggest change that we've had over the years. I mean, as the years have gone
I was
on,
asking about that earlier.
it's mostly stayed the same as far as drawing our characters in Illustrator and animating in After Effects.
Call it your pipeline.
Yeah, our pipeline. And but we have added some harmony animation to that. And we use Toon Boom Harmony, and it's more of a traditional way to animate on the computer. And we use that for a lot of our action scenes. So anytime you see Archer doing a spin kick or Lana being in a cool fist fight, we usually take a couple of our animators who are more well-versed in that traditional animation and kind of let them do their thing.
On a scene like, I can't remember what episode it is, new offices and everybody spinning in the chairs.
Yeah.
At the biggest agency.
That was fun.
On something like that, where does that hit that line between character work and action? To keep each of those chairs. I mean, little things in animation can be a lot more grueling than I think sometimes the audience realizes.
It's really a great question that you picked that particular thing out, because we had
I remember that.
lengthy conversations about
I just remember
that
thinking,
little
like,
thing.
how much work went into such a subtle gag.
It was so small, and it was probably the most difficult thing we've ever done.
I can't believe you picked that out.
When you have a big action scene, you can kind of hide some of that animation. So if something doesn't look quite perfect, it's only going to be on
Shake
screen
camera
for a
and do that.
frame.
Yeah, but there's no
shake
weird
your
nose
camera.
point where they turn.
Exactly. It was just seamless. And we just animated. At first, we really tried, like, this is only going to be on for this many frames. Let's just do this section. And then that stuff would get
Just
rearranged.
runs
So we just did the whole turn for everybody. And when you only have a harmony staff of 2 or 3 people, you really need to decide, like, do I want to use them on this cool fight scene, or are we going to do spinning chairs? And spinning chairs
I'm so glad you
went on
noticed
for
that.
months and months and months. But I think it was worth it. It was a great gag.
You know, again, as the owner of the company, and the dollar bills pay the same, for me to look at that gag and to be like, there's an old thing I used to do when we were making Adult Swim shows, which was, is this $100 funny? And then as a great budget that FX gives us, is this $10,000 funny? And you have to make that decision because it is only on screen for so long. And it was difficult for me as the person that cuts the check to say, yeah, go ahead and do it. Because there was an inordinate amount of time spent doing that for that gig, for that gag.
It went on for a long time, but it was funny.
It was appreciated.
My art director hat was like, yeah, let's do this. My producer hat was like, we gotta stop.
Yeah, we take that into consideration in storyboarding too. Like, is this going to be a harmony move, or is this going to be a normal?
Frequently, Taylor and her staff are taxed with, we have to
Be aware.
We have to do this scene cheaper. We have to do that because you still have constraints.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll
Cut
board
around
those scenes 2 ways. We'll do it the hard way, and we'll do it the easy way. And
Right.
that really depends on how much time we have and what staff is available.
Yeah, and pick and choose
And
which shots.
from what I understand, the good thing is the imperative is to underpay everyone.
Yes, and the sleepless nights.
Yes.
How little pay and little sleep can you all?
We get paid
Right,
in
yeah.
fun bucks.
I wake up thinking storyboard,
These
go to
jokes
sleep
hurt my
thinking
heart.
storyboard.
These jokes hurt my
you
heart.
Oh,
Is this a
it's okay.
$10,000
Yeah, the exposure.
joke? Because there's 0 for labor. I know that's not true.
Realizing on a cartoon like you, or in any animated series, like you said, there shouldn't be any deleted scenes or coverage for anything. Have there been any best happy accidents or things where you went, oh God, we definitely aren't going to do the spinning chairs thing, and the gag that you filled in ended up being genius, and you went, oh, it's so good that went
better
wrong.
for you because they don't get to me because people try to hide them from me.
Right, yeah. Taylor and I were talking about this, and we were trying to figure out if there are any good happy accidents, and honestly, if we do our jobs correctly, then there aren't any happy accidents.
We catch things early, like, but like in the animation process, there'll be a character missing, you know, and they'll be like, hey, don't forget that. I'm trying to think happy accidents. I don't know, for me, it was more like I like incorporating my own life into boards, like gestures I would do, you know, or, you know, try to think of poses and expressions, especially.
It's very much built into the DNA of the show to not have that be a good answer that we can make right now. If everybody's doing their jobs and really thinking about it, it's like it's well thought out and you get there.
Yeah,
I do know that like over time we have decided to emphasize and de-emphasize things more as we get to know the characters as they go through the season and develop. And like we had a large conversation this season of like we almost did an episode where we went to Pam's homeworld and saw it and went there and did it, but I decided in the end that the payoff wasn't big enough to go and create a whole entire planet.
And I thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember we went in and talked to these guys about it. I was like, hey, I'm really thinking about making the Pam planet episode.
Yeah.
And the payoff, and then we have those discussions and we decide that meant that we couldn't do these other things. That was like, nope, you can't go do that. Can't go do that because I'm going to spend my money here.
Right. You really have to pick and choose.
Got to pick and choose
what you want to show and what you want to animate. And,
when you conceive the sorry to take your job, the season arc, what's the lead time on informing the animators on how much you get it?
It depends on the season. It depends on the season. For this season, I think you had a loose plan of knowing where we're going, like on a one-page outline for the middle of the season, and then knowing that we were going to come back to what we were doing in the end, but not a ton.
Right.
Not a ton.
So there's a ton
It's
of
usually the
drawing
script
fast.
drops, and then we've got 3 weeks to
They'll get a
turn
heads
it up.
up. They'll get a heads up. They'll get like an Act 1 heads up sometimes.
Yeah, get a little bit snippet
So we
of the
can-
But
script.
in essence, everybody's got 3 weeks to figure their shit out.
Yeah.
Wow.
rough thumbnails, just rough sketches until clean them up to make them look
Almost
like the
every
characters.
department is on a 3-week plate spin, as I think is how we've identified in the past. Which
Very
is,
much so.
as Chad is the hub, he is designed to make all the different plates for all the departments start spinning. The background department, the storyboard department, the animation department. And the job is you have to go over here and pay attention to this plate, pay attention to this plate, pay attention to this plate. And if one plate falls, then you're going to be screwed.
And with Taylor's job, it's really a testament to her knowing the voice of the characters too, because we're storyboarding this from script. We don't have audio until much later, so she's kind of just trying to anticipate how Archer's going to act and how these scenes are going to play out.
Because every episode is a blank slate, and every time it's like, all right, what's going to happen? You know, this episode, and it's fun and creative in a way. You know, I like having a brand new slate for an episode and being like, all right, I can't wait to see this when it's all boarded. See what a beautiful episode it will be. So.
I know, John.
And one plate spinner, actual plate spinner.
We do. Whole time a joke.
We feed it.
That's where we need that voice.
He's paid really well.
He's paid in plates.
That's right.
Yeah.
As a voice actor, Bob's Burgers appears more improvisational rather than Archer. Is there a difference in how they're made?
Yeah, we were just describing that in the panel. Bob's is made fundamentally differently than that for our work, because we record together. Not everybody in the same room, but over headphones from LA, and some of the actors are in New York and so forth. So they do scenes out with everybody participating at the same time. Archer's done individually. Yeah.
Do you find that
I read the scenes with usually Matt and Casey and
Marcus.
Marcus, we read her. So we'll have an opportunity to kind of act together, but Bob's is more ensemble.
Do you find it's different do you do any different prep to get your energy at the right level, not having the other people on headsets with you?
With Archer, it's sort of like pretty much now built in. The character's so set, and it's easy to sort of just jump right in. And Archer's not the most layered character, so it's pretty much full bore. Get loud and hope my voice.
We try to save his screams for the certain times. So we're always very concerned that we're taxing Jon's voice from at some point in that script he's going to yell at somebody at the top of his lungs.
Yeah. So I have lost my voice in Archer. And
we always feel we do our best to do 1 to 2 takes of those.
I think I've held up
it's just the stress on your voice. People don't realize that gasping and scream. Everybody gets screaming, but the gasp. Yeah. The gasp is terrible for a voiceover actor. I'm serious. If you do it and you do it hard continually, it's a knockout punch.
There's definitely been some episodes where it's like Archer, parenthetical screaming over, the sound of gunfire, laser, whatever.
We throw it to the back
whole
of the
episode.
So we throw it to the back of the court because we don't care about Jon's life enough that we're breaking his voice for the rest of the day. We only care about Jon in the moment.
Yeah,
it's care.
I think I did schedule one time back to back Archer Boggs.
Yeah,
and that ended that.
Yeah,
I couldn't do that again.
When did you all have a sense that the show was really catching on?
After the first season.
Yeah.
Because I think we premiered the first season, at least to my knowledge.
2001-ish?
Yeah,
sorry.
I was going to say,
that makes me my late 70s.
Sorry. I'm terrible with dates. Where am I?
Taylor was in the 4th grade.
You're not wrong. I was in the 4th grade.
But I remember, I think at the first Comic-Con we showed an episode where there were not many people.
Audience. Yeah.
Right? Maybe 100 people.
Next year we came back and we filled up the big room of 2,000. And you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, so I think that was the real, whoa.
And that took me back, walking into that room at the start of the second season, to go from one day there was 100 people there who were asking questions.
Who were fans.
Who were basically fans of Jessica Walter to some degree, go and ask her questions
a lot
about
of Arrested Development.
So tell us about Arrested Development. And she's like, we're here talking about Archer.
Yeah.
But then that next season to come back and as every single person walked out on the stage to rock us, 2,000 people, applause, and I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And is that when you knew you could sell the van? You didn't have to.
Yeah.
For those of people who haven't seen Jon Benjamin Has a Van, some of the best, funniest, most awkward comedy of my favorite things of my life. Jon interviewing people in a bathroom. Oh God, it was fucking funny.
Yeah, I loved Has a Van.
It was great.
Not many people did.
It was great, and the great Nathan Fielder was over there with you guys as well.
That's right. Yeah, and his show sort of was born out of that.
You can see the Nathan Fielder show. I'm not taking it away from him.
He's amazing. Been doing that kind of stuff before me.
But I can see the two existing in the same comedic universe. Very, very.
Yeah, we had similar comedy as that.
It'd be an awkward night at Must See TV.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for taking out time to talk to me about it. It's such a great show.
Thank you for that. I'm very blown away by that chair question. So, hats off.
Yeah.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Permanent Record Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, please go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TVDudes, and help us out on iTunes by giving us a 5-star rating and writing a review. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and permanentrcrd.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.